Hey, what's up, my friend? Michael here. I'm very excited to jump into the first and most important training module that you're going to do, and honestly, anything that you might ever do with Unbroken Business Support Group, because this is the mindset of an entrepreneur. Now, in this module, I'm going to tell you a bit about my story and my journey, but I'm also going to walk you through the workbook that's here as well. So you're going to want to download that. Just down below, there is a link that you can click to download, and it says Unbroken Mindset Workbook. Okay. And so you're going to want to print that off, or you can fill it out on your computer, Adobe Acrobat, or whatever other PDF opener that you use. The reason why this is such an important module is because everything that we do starts with our mindset. Like, it's all up here. Everything we think, everything that goes through our mind, everything about the ideations or the visualizations of the person we want to be, or the person that we believe that we're capable of being as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as a partner, as a friend, as a community member, as an influencer, as a change maker, it all starts right here in our mind. And if you don't understand that to the deepest sense of its capability, it's going to be really difficult for you to actually create the change that you want to see in the world and in your life. How do I know this? Because I've been on the opposite side of a mindset that was fixed. Carol Dweck wrote arguably one of the greatest books of all time called Mindset. And what she discovered is that basically there's two mindsets that people have about their life, about their journey, and about the things that they may or may not accomplish. One is a fixed mindset, and two is a growth mindset. Now, the fixed mindset, this is the place where we're stuck, where we blame other people, where we can't seem to shift ourselves out of the place that we are and into the place that we want to be. It is the place of blaming. It is the place of finding every other reason why things don't work except for you. And ultimately, the fixed mindset is the place where dreams go to die. For a long time, I had a fixed mindset. The growth mindset is this idea that you're going to be solution oriented. Like, if you spend time with my team, even though I'm hitting them with crazy ideas and problems and things that we need to work through, I'm always thinking, what is the solution? How do we make the goal that we are trying to accomplish accomplished? Well, it's very simple. When you have a growth mindset, you're always looking for the opportunity. You're always looking for the reason why. You're always looking for how. You're always looking for whatever it takes, I will accomplish this goal. And so I can tell you this. The book Mindset by Carol Dweck is absolutely unbelievable. I highly, highly recommend that you read it because it'll give you even more insight than what I just gave you. Now, in regard to this conversation, because you're coming into this community, into this group, you may or may not know more about me or my backstory than most people. If you've listened to Think Unbroken podcast over the years, you know we put 1,000 episodes of that show out, and we have thousands and thousands of posts on social media with tons and tons of content. But if you don't know me, I'm going to give you the very simplified version of my story. But basically, I grew up in Indiana. My mom was a drug addict and alcoholic. And in fact, she cut off my right index finger when I was just 4 years old. So you'll notice discolorations. I had multiple skin grafts. It's crooked. It's weird. It's a part of my journey, unfortunately. My stepdad was super abusive. I never met my real father. I spent most of my childhood homeless. And in fact, between the ages of 8 to 12, I lived with over 30 different families, getting bounced around place to place to place. And I never knew where I would sleep or where I would stay. So immediately think about this. I spent so much of my childhood thinking that the world was against me, thinking that God hated me, thinking that somehow it was my fault that I was where I was. And that kept reflecting in the self-sabotage behavior that I had as I continued to walk the path. And the thing that's really interesting that happened is by the time that I was 12, I started getting high for the first time, drunk at 13. By 15, I got kicked out of high school the first time. By 18, I got kicked out of high school 2 more times. I did not graduate high school. Basically, I went to summer school my senior year after everyone else graduated. And my summer school teacher, who was my business teacher, irony of all ironies, basically told me, I'm just going to give you your diploma and good luck in the streets. And so I had set myself up for failure, believing that nothing is for me, that everyone is against me, that no matter what, I'm not going to shine. And what's really fascinating when I go look back at this moment of time in my life, the thing that I was doing is I was playing small subconsciously. I didn't know that I was shrinking myself every single day to fit into this box effectively so that other people didn't see me. Because in the house that I grew up in, being seen was the most dangerous thing that could happen. And so I learned to play small. And what's really interesting is that when I was about 8 or 9, I started taking intelligence tests and I qualified for Mensa. But I distinctly remember my mom being like, just because you do this doesn't mean you're smarter than people. And for some capacity, that's true. And for some, it's not, right? And the thing that I took from that moment was play small. I would win awards and championships in wrestling, and I would show them to people, and they'd be like, we don't care. I'd show them my grandma, and she'd be like, whatever. And so I just learned how to play small, always being in the back, always hiding, always sabotaging so that I was a loser, right? And so what happened eventually, I'm working this corporate job. I'm working for a Fortune 10 company, and I'm making more money than everyone I knew. Because at 18 years old, after I got kicked out of high school, I made a decision. By the time I was 21, I was going to make $100,000 a year legally. And I did it. And it was insane. And I had so much fun. And I did a lot of things that, in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have done, but I did them. And I was looking at my life at 25, heading into 26, and I was miserable. I hated my job. I hated going to work. I hated my coworkers because I cannot stand small talk. I hated the commute. I hated all of the things about my life at 25, heading into 26. And so I made a decision. I was like, I quit. I'm going to go and do my own thing. And I will never forget this. My childhood, my best friend at the time, he told me, don't do it. You'll never be as successful as you are now. And there was something in me, like a fight, like this energy of wanting to prove him and everyone wrong, that I did matter, that I was important, that I could do hard things, that I could be this person I envisioned being. And I went for it. And for the first 2 years of being an entrepreneur, 25, 26, 27, it was hard. It was very hard. And in fact, to this day, it's probably the hardest thing that I've done, because unlike now, I didn't have the skills that I have today. And because of that, the thing that was happening is I was paying the dummy tax. I was learning the hard way instead of going and getting a mentor and learning the easier way by leveraging other people's knowledge. And then eventually what happened is I did that. I went and got a mentor, and it changed my life forever. And because of that, as I head into year 17 of being an entrepreneur, I've been able to accomplish amazing things that I never thought I would be able to do. I'm a best-selling author, award-winning speaker. I am an award-winning podcast host, right? Was it last year, 2024? I was nominated as Coach of the Year with people like Brendan Burchard and Anthony Trucks and Tony Robbins. It was crazy, right? And so the thing that I started to realize when I was in my late 20s, as I was building the first business, is that this all relied on me. I had to have the mindset of someone who understood the reality of the situation. And that reality was, no one's going to do this for me. And I was so tied to this vision and this idea of what it was that I wanted to create that I went and I chased it with every ounce of energy. And yes, many, many days it was brutally difficult, but on many days it wasn't. And so I'm looking at my life, 27, 28, 29, heading into 30. And I had built one of the most successful wedding photography studios in all of Indiana. Excuse me. And so that happened for one reason, because I believed it. And I did a lot of hard work, and I asked for help. I asked help from my partner, from friends, from family, from strangers, from anyone who had the thing I was trying to have. And my superpower became that. I became a master of asking for help. because that's the reality of what's in front of you. Without that superpower, you're going to stay stuck. But kudos to you. You're seeing this because you raised your hand and you're like, I see the direction. I know this is what I want, and I'm going to ask for help. So, welcome and thank you. And so today I get to sit with you and I get to tell you my story. But again, this is 17 years in the making. And I don't want you to think that somehow I was an overnight success because, yes, I've done the amazing things of speaking in front of 10,000 people and winning Grant Cardone's Great American Speak Off. I have some of the greatest podcast guests in the world come on my show. I've been a best selling author. I've written 4 books. I've traveled the world. I've done things honestly people only dream about doing. And to tell you the truth, I'm just getting started. And this is my next path in front of me, working with the amazing entrepreneurs and business owners like you. But you have to understand a little bit more about what inspired me so much that I was willing to sacrifice. You have to understand where you are right now. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that people make. They don't understand the truth of the moment. And then if you understand that, the thing that happens is the fear of being seen shows up. You're like, me? How am I important? Why would anyone listen to me? How am I supposed to be the voice or the face or the product or the brand? And here's where I've landed on this. Once you've assessed the where you are, the why becomes monumentally important. Because you're going to have these days where you're just like, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to be an entrepreneur today. I don't want to record the content today or speak on the stage today or get on the plane today. There's a lot of times where you do, because that's the joy. Like that's the thing that we do. But what about on the days that you don't? That's where the mindset comes into play. And that's why the why is so important. I made this decision 10 years ago when I started Think Unbroken, when I transitioned from being a wedding photographer and a creator to writing these books and the podcast that would come later and speaking on stages and helping people transform their lives after childhood trauma. It was a thing that I did because I needed to feel like I could share my story, my journey, to be seen, but most importantly, to put it out into the world in the hopes that if other people saw what I was doing, they would resonate and they would understand, or most importantly, it would transform their lives too. Right. But I had to let go of the fear, and you're going to have to let go of the fear too. And once you do that, you have to get into this place where you understand that your secret weapon against all of the world and all of the marketers and all of the people who do what you do, because chances are you're not the first person on the planet to do the thing you're doing. You could be, but I doubt it. Most of the time there's somebody else doing the same thing. But why do people come to you? Why do people pay their money, pay their time, pay their effort, pay their energy to work with you? The reason why is because your unique story is the very thing that they may need. Your experiences, the things that you have been through, and you telling those stories in the way that only you can tell them is the most powerful thing that you have in front of you. There's no question about it. I shared a bit of my story here with you just now, but when I became an award-winning speaker, the reason why is because I was willing to be vulnerable. I was willing to tell the truth. I was willing to not hide. I was willing to be seen. And most importantly, I was willing to know that my voice and my decision to put myself out into the world like this wasn't actually about me. It was about my brothers, and it was about my sister, because I wanted to show them 2 things. One, I wanted to show them that I could be different, because I promise you, when I was 25, 26, I was a nightmare of a human being. That's another story for another day. And then by the time that I was 30, I started this transformation journey. And I wanted to show them who I was, like at my heart, like at my core, with having been healed. And I knew, you know how it is with family. You can tell them something, they're like, whatever, right? But if they see it by proxy, and the work and the energy and the effort and the millions of people listening and the books and the customers and the transformations and the testimonial videos, they'll go, wow, that's actually really legit. And the other reason was because I knew deep down that I wanted to leave some kind of legacy. I didn't know what the legacy was necessarily. I just knew that I wanted to do something to impact people's lives for the better. So that I walked away from this life, this experience that we're having, knowing that I did something that mattered, that was important, that I was seen, and that I gave people value. But here's the reality: I did not start with confidence. And that may be where you are. You're like, yeah, Michael, I get that. Like, I want to help all these people, but I just don't feel confident. I don't think I'm the one for this. Maybe there's someone else. Maybe it's later. Well, let me tell you this: every single day that you are not using your story to talk to the people who need your help, and it doesn't matter what industry, by the way, somebody needs your help because humans help humans. And guess what? AI is not solving most of the problems of the world. And every single day that you're not putting yourself out there to help the people that need you, this is just my opinion, but I think you're being incredibly selfish. And I think that you're also taking other people's potential because we all learn through other people and through our own journeys. And when you talk about this idea of confidence, and people will come up to me, and I've heard this for years, and they'll say to me, Michael, you're so confident. How do you do this? How do you put yourself on stage in the books and take the risks? And I'm like, because I have to. And in the beginning, I was not confident. And I'm not a big fan of fake it till you make it. I'm a huge fan of tell the truth. Same reason why I'm like, hey, we just launched this program, or we just did that thing, or this is the first time over here, or I've never done that before. Because I'm a human like you. I don't expect myself to be perfect. I don't expect you to be perfect. I don't expect anyone else to be perfect. But what I do expect of myself and of those around me, and especially you in this program, is for you to take action, is for you to take the risk, and for you to do the thing that you are so deeply uncomfortable about doing, because that's where everything happens. All of the magic, all of the beauty of what it is that we get to do as entrepreneurs. And for all of you who are creators and you're like, I'm going to take my voice in this part of me and give it to the world, that's where the transformation begins. And I've said this before, but the very first time I ever sat down to do something like record a podcast, it was underneath my desk with a Zoom hand recorder because I was just like, I don't even know where to begin, but I'm going to start somewhere. The first event I ever hosted, ever, like 2 people showed up, right? And then I've spoken in front of 10,000. I've had events that I've hosted that we've had 2,500 people register for, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people join me on online events all the time because I was willing to just take the imperfect action. And I can assure you, like, I make mistakes as a business owner and entrepreneur constantly. I'm probably making a mistake right now, even recording this, where I'm like, did I say the right thing? I was drinking water, like blah, 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 and I'm just like, so what? Who cares? And the thing that you have to get to is you got to like, how do I take this action? And then once you take this action, now you have to become that person. I think that Joe Dispenza does this really well. And he explains it in regard to you have to break the habit of being yourself. It is a physiological experience that you're having. You are having a biological experience every single day. The chemicals that flow through your brain are the things that guide you. And it's when you make meaning and notice of them and you become present in this physical body, in this organism that we're walking through on the daily basis, that you recognize the inherent power you have over it. I look at like this. Now, I'm a little bit nerdy, so this may not land with all of you, but there are these Japanese animes and there are these things called Gundams. So in the 80s, I was a huge fan of this show called Gundam Wing. And basically what happens are these giant robots. Maybe if you've ever seen something like the movie Pacific Rim, it's like that. So there's these giant robots that you as a human use to fight bad guys and to go do the things that need to be done. The robots don't work without you. They just sit there. They're just like docile. But you get inside of the robot and it does whatever you want. And that's how I look at my human body. I go, my human body is my robot, my spirit, my soul, my energy, whatever this is that makes me me. That's the pilot. And I learned a long time ago that you have to break the habit of being yourself by, in the moment when you don't want to do something, you do it immediately. Like, if people ask me the secret sauce to creating change in your life, the mindset piece works because what you think becomes what you speak become your actions, and then your actions become your reality. All of this is based off your thought. And so I think to myself all the time, I have to go do the thing that I have to do so that I can go and change my life and change the world. So I feel super uncomfortable in doing that. Okay, great. I understand that. I don't care. I'm going to sit down and do it anyway. Like right now, for example, because I've been creating content for days. I haven't taken a day off in 17 days, building, creating, doing what is required. And that's not hustle culture, by the way, because there's days like yesterday where I only worked for like 4 hours. And there's days like the day before where I only worked for two. But my point is, when I sat down to start to record this, the thought I had just had was, I'll do it later. I'll do it tonight. I'll do it tomorrow. But the thing is, I've learned in the thing that changes my life the most is to not negotiate with myself. Like, I don't allow myself to negotiate with myself. It's unallowed. If I think of something that I know I need to do, if I write it down, if I make a decision, it is sure as done. And I learned a long time ago for myself to never allow myself to go to bed without accomplishing the goals I set for that day. And that's really, really hard when the world is pulling you in a lot of directions. And on the days that it's not working, and on the days you just dropped $10,000 and you might as well set it on fire because the event didn't work. And on the days when the team member quits, and on the day when your business partner, because you have multiple companies, is being a pain in your ass, and on the days when you're sick, and on the days when the relationship is rocky, and on the days where you're getting your attention called in a million places, you have to go, okay, where am I at? What decision do I need to make today? And I'm a big proponent of make the right decision because I put family and health first. But if I'm not sick and nobody's dying, I got to find a way to make it through the day and accomplish the things that I said I was going to do, because that's where the shift happens. So I didn't share part of my story that I share on stages a lot that I'm going to tell you right now to kind of personify this, if you will. When I was 26, I was 350 pounds, smoking 2 packs a day, drinking myself to sleep. I was getting high every day. I was partying all the time. I was not taking care of myself or anyone else. And in a moment, I woke up one day and I was like, no more. And that day, so a new yoga studio had just opened in Carmel, Indiana, because I was living up in Carmel. I made it out of the hood. I was living in the number one city in America. I was driving an $85,000 car, living in this awesome condo, but life was not working. And my friend, who's now a friend, Hey Jen, she opened up a place called The Hot Room. Shout out to her. I haven't been in Indiana for a long time, but changed my life. And it was a hot yoga studio. And I was like, I'm going to go do hot yoga. I don't know anything about it. All I know is that I had somebody tell me one time, like, yoga will change your life. And so, you know what I did? I got in my car and I drove to the hot yoga studio and I sat there. I didn't have a mat. I didn't have a towel. I had no idea what I was getting into. And as I sat there in my car, smoking a cigarette, by the way, because I was still smoking at this point, I just watched all these super fit people walk into this yoga studio, all kinds of them, all of them fit, all of them looked yoked and in amazing shape. And here I am, 350 pounds. And I'm like, okay, well, you said you were going in. You've spent so much of your life not doing the things you said you were going to do. Maybe you'll do it today. And I was just like, you're going in. And with 5 minutes before the class started, I walked in the door and I was greeted by Hajan. And she was like, have you done this before? And I was like, nope. And she was like, all right, well, just follow my instructions and you'll get there. And I walked into the room and it's just, yoga people, they're all half naked and it's hot and everybody's sweaty already because you're sitting in the room. It's 120 degrees. And there was a spot in the back left corner. I sat down on my yoga mat and I realized 10 minutes in, Nobody cared that I was in that room but me. And there was a really wild sense of freedom about that because I was so worried what everybody thought. But I was doing it for me. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because the thing that you're in front of is you have to do it for you. This isn't for other people. But that one yoga class turned into, at one point, me doing 60 days in a row, turned into 15-ish years, 16 years later. Guess what? I still go to yoga 2 to 3 times a week. And guess what? There are days where it's really, 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 really hard and days where it's really, 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 really easy. But if I commit to it and I show up, guess what? It impacts my life for the better. And so this whole journey, the thing that you're doing with me right now, and by coming and being a part of Unbroken Business Support Group, is you're making the decision in this moment to be willing to show up, to execute, to do what is hard, to be seen, to be in discomfort, to know that because of who it is that you are choosing to be, you're making the world a better place. You're making your life better and you're transforming your business. And in this, the thing that happens is you have to set a new standard. I am a huge fan of raising the standard because I believe that's the thing that changed my life the most. I said, this is who I am. I don't negotiate with these ideas of who I am. I just am this person. And so the standard for me is I'm the kind of person I'm the kind of person who does what I say I'm going to do. I'm the kind of person who does not get overwhelmed. I'm the kind of person who sits in deep overwhelm and deals with it, even though I said I don't get overwhelmed. I'm the kind of person who's honest. I'm the kind of person who's a leader. I'm the kind of person who does what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it because they don't want to let themselves down. I'm the kind of person who's consistent, right? And then finally, this is one that's most important in my life. I'm the kind of person who does not make excuses. And here's what's interesting too. Excuses go both ways because I've learned how to make excuses for not resting and burning myself out. And I've learned how to make excuses for not doing the thing that needs to be done. All that comes to getting focused in here, getting your head and your heart, your mind and your physical being connected on a daily basis, because that's where the standard shifts. Okay. The most important thing that you have to know as you walk the path of what's in front of you is that the outcome is only going to be determined by the effort and the energy that you put in. And we have to control the controllables. We can't control the variables. We can control the things that we do, how we put in our time, our effort, our energy, our money, but we cannot control the outcome. We can prepare for it. We can create amazing things that help people. We can make amazing offers that help people. We can put ourselves into the discomfort of putting the work out there into the world, but we can't control what happens once we do that. But if we do our best, I can tell you, and if you can also be patient, really, for a lot of it, the thing that will happen is your life and your business will transform forever. I became a #1 best-selling author because I made the decision to become one. And I sat down and I wrote my book and I rewrote it 19 times over 2 years to make it ready to be published. And on the day it published, it was the #1 book in America. When I made the decision, well, I guess this wasn't as much a decision as much as circumstantial, but when I became a #1 podcast host, the reason why, and when my show had become #1 in something like 17 countries and top 40 in like 50 countries and the millions and millions of downloads, that happened because of the consistency, because I said, I'm going to go and do the thing. When I got nominated Coach of the Year, it was because I was doing the work. I was transforming people's lives. They were telling people about me. I didn't even nominate myself for this. Somebody reached out to me one day and like, hey, you got nominated for Coach of the Year with all of these people. And what's crazy is I'm probably the least famous of all of them. And I still have transformed the lives of thousands of people who are paid clients and millions of people who have listened to my show. So the thing that you're in front of here that I want to leave you with is that this mindset game that we're playing every single day is just about you sitting in the discomfort of who you are in the moment and challenging that version of you versus the person that you want to become. Because over here is this person who you want to become. And right here is who you are. And in between, there's this gap that must be closed. And I have only ever been able to close that gap personally and professionally by doing things. You're not going to think your way to success here. No one cares what you think. And that's not tough love, that's reality. No one cares that you have a big dream. They have their own big dreams. No one cares that you didn't want to show up and hit record today, or write the book, or coach the client, or get on the stage, or get in the airplane, or go to the 50th hotel of the year. Nobody cares. You're here because you chose to be. And there's no reason to stop where you are. You're at the beginning. You're at the beginning. And this is the thing that is so transformative for people. Sit in this. I love that you're at the beginning, because guess what? Now you get to build something and create something. But maybe you're at step 2 or step 3. Great. Cool. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Are we really moving towards the goal every day? Am I really moving towards the dream? Am I showing up when I said I'm going to show up? Or am I just hoping that life is going to work out for me? And at the end of the day, here's what I'll leave you with. I should be dead or in jail, like many of my friends and like many of my family members. I should not be here. I was given an opportunity for whatever reason, God, spirit, Mother Nature, Batman. Like I don't know why I'm here other than to be of service. And I know this, if I don't come and play all out and try every day, I can't serve you. I can't serve the people I've been meant to serve through my podcasts and my books and my stages. And I certainly cannot serve myself. And that means that I'm going to die with regret. And of all the fears that I believe that I have, among all of the crazy things that go through my mind, because like you, I'm a human, the number one thing I'm terrified above all is that I will die with regret. And so take this with you. Do what you need to do with it. Download the workbook, guide yourself through it. Take care of yourself, take care of each other. And until the next module, be unbroken. I'll see you.